My plan is to go back to the beginning. We solve crime by evidence and witnesses. Quite a few years had passed, and obviously we had no witnesses that came forward that broke the case. So I felt like we need to go back and re-examine all the evidence that we collected. We were following new ideas and new leads, which was very productive in many ways. And we were dealing with a lot of old information that kept getting recycled. Branch Street was a big one. People kept saying, she was buried at Branch Street. And I just felt that defied logic. That's a house that backs up to another house overlooking the backyard. And I think it was more or less became kind of folklore that this is, where it was. And it had been searched 3 times, and they'd used ground penetrating radar and had not identified anything. And we've had various digs. We probably have, I couldn't even count the number of times we got information and we went out and dug. But that was kind of the frustrating part, because we weren't getting a break. We kept feeling we're not getting a break. And we'd pretty much opened up the wallet, and we bought Paul's old truck that was stolen from San Diego, and we found it down in Mexico. Had to get the FBI involved. We had to actually buy it. I had to wire money to Mexico for them to buy the car. And then we had to get a special permission to get it over the border, and then we had to tow it up here. So it was something that we wanted to look at, even though it was at that many years. It was probably a long shot, but it was worth the chance. Over the years, we had several really good investigators that ruled out some of the suspicious things that were early reports. We had a report of a missing golf cart from that area. The rumor was that Paul must have used that to transport her out of there. We were able to find out that was not what happened. Poly student at the time came forward and said, "No, me and my buddies are the one that took that thing for a joyride." Pretty much what we got more was from Paul's house. That's where we determined we got all of his electronic devices, and were able to find the videotapes and all that. White Court produced, some small things, but nothing that put us over the top on that first service. And then we started developing more information on White Court, that the former roommate of Ruben's that rented a room there gave us information that the area underneath that deck was kept locked, and he was told he wasn't allowed to go in there underneath there, and there was really nothing of value there. It didn't make a lot of sense. And then the story of a plumber coming for a problem at the house. The plumber said he had to get underneath the house, which was directly under where we found the burial site. Ruben refused and said, basically for him to leave. Just really suspicious things that kind of, came together, that there's something there that he doesn't want people going around. And it made sense because it would be an easy place to bury somebody, in the sense that it's concealed, and again, it's that rural property. So it was our second visit, which, our second warrant about a year later, which was, most intriguing. Our attention was really focused on that yard. So when we got the warrant, it was really, at that point, we were using ground penetrating radar and dogs. And I'm sure you saw that in trial. Once we found the anomaly underneath the back deck that was of interest, and the dog's change of behavior, we piggybacked another warrant to be able to dig. So as we started digging, we were really hopeful that we were going to find Kristin, and we didn't, obviously. And at the base of the anomaly is where, as they were digging, they exposed what was later determined to be a decomposition trail underneath, and it was very distinctive. I remember seeing it. I remember the archaeologist jumping into the hole and start scraping away, and she said, "This is consistent with, decomposition from a body." So you imagine the hole with something in it, and right below it is where gravity would naturally have that come down. So We were excited, but we really didn't know what it meant, for us, other than, yes, there's obviously more evidence now that looks like something was here. And it really wasn't until the next day, when Detective Cole drove it up to Siri Labs, that he called me and told me that it was tested positive for human blood. So that was kind of an epiphany moment. This all fit together. Everything fit. Any loss of life is difficult, whether it be a car accident or a murder or anything like that. But when you talk about a young freshman that you've sent off to school and she disappears, and that they have to live with not knowing, and I think that made it really important to me. And that's why we really want to go back on the old cases that we have that weren't solved and solve them for the families. But this one kind of stood out because I was a police officer at the time that she disappeared, and two, there was still a lot of fear in the community for whatever happened to Kristin, and then kind of, I guess, a little bit of injustice. It was injustice for the Smarts, injustice for Kristin, and that we owed it to the family to do everything possible.